Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my Ghostrunner walkthrough and this is level 5, which is called Breathe In. And I thought I'd take some time to talk a little bit about the story in this game. Because the basic story is you are a Ghostrunner, which before shit went sideways in this place, you were a police force, more or less. You kept people in line, tried to take down criminals, all that good stuff. And this city called Dharma Tower was ruled or was managed by a man called the Architect. He's the one talking to you. And an evil woman called Mara took over power and killed his human form, Adam. So now all that remains of Adam is the Architect, an AI who wants to regain power and so we can kill the evil Mara. And what she has done this far in the game is that she has turned off the air filter stations. So she is slowly making the air toxic in this place, because the air outside is filled with radioactive particles and needs to be filtered so people can breathe in here. And she is trying to kill, I don't know if it's the entire tower or just the rebels. Because the thing is, with the story of this game, the story is told while you're playing. There are basically no cutscenes in this entire game. It is all told by radio communications in between Jack and a woman called Zoe, which is one of the climbers, the rebels leading the uprising against Mara, and the Architect. And the thing is, when I'm not so well read into this story, because first time playing through it, I was so focused, so it was hard to follow along in the story because you're so focused on the gameplay. And during my recording I did what I usually do, which actually allows me to, I feel a lot of times, focus better. I listened to someone else or something else while I was playing, because the story to me isn't that interesting in this game. The gameplay is. The gameplay is the focal point, and the gameplay is so much fun. So I listen to podcasts, and I think it can also be a great diversion, because for me it allows me to not get as frustrated as I would maybe otherwise be. Because even on this recording I have trimmed out, of course, all the deaths, but I died a few times. Not nearly as many times as I did on my first playthrough, but there is no level except for the first one that I can beat, I think, somewhat confidently without resetting a few checkpoints. And that was the annoying part. Even on this walkthrough recording run, I couldn't for the life of me get through the first level without at least one death, which was super irritating. But I've tried to edit these videos as well as I can, to the best of my abilities, so to speak. So I said as there was a shitty splice. But I want them to flow. I'm not trying to sell the illusion that I'm some kind of godlike gamer that beat everything first try, but I want them to flow as well as possible for you, dear viewer. So you will find them as helpful as possible as well. And this, as you can see, is quite a long level, and we're also gonna do some backtracking in this one. And in this level we are actually gonna be introduced to a new enemy type. The sluggers that I talked about in a previous video, the close combat enemies. And as I said, there is a trophy called something. Can't remember the name of it. But there is a trophy for killing 3 of them, because they attack by jumping towards you and like slamming their fist into the ground. And when they jump towards you, they fix on your location, so you want to dash out of the way. They cannot switch direction or anything in mid-air. But to unlock that trophy or achievement, you have to kill, I think it's a total of 3 of them, 3 or 5, can't remember which, I think it's 3, while they are in air. So you cannot do this when they have landed or before they jump. They have to be in mid-air when you do it, and you have to kill them with the blink ability. But it's super easy to do, and whenever you find one and kill him, just reset checkpoint. There is, as I said, there is a great place to do it later on in the game. I will show it, or I will try to point it out when we get there. I can't remember which level it is in, but here we have the first one, right on cue.
One way to find out.
As you can see,
Close combat implants.
quite simple.
Crude ones.
They can be really annoying at times. Like most enemies in this game, because sometimes when you're running on walls, and if you don't know that they're there, sometimes enemies can blend into the background. It's not as common with the gunners because you see the muzzle flashes or the shots flying, but with those close combat enemies, if you're not aware that they're there and you're super focused on the environment, sometimes they can surprise you, which is very rude. I was actually thinking when I start recording this, there is a piece you can put on the circuit board which highlights all the enemies. It gives all the enemies like a red aura, which makes them more visible. And I was thinking about recording this walkthrough via level select and have that equipped, just to make it easier to see where the enemies were. But I decided to not go for that. I wanted to do it from a new game file, so I wouldn't accidentally, since if you play via level select, you will play with all the things you have unlocked. So if you go into level select after having beaten the game, you can play through the entire game with all 4 special abilities, with all the perks unlocked. You cannot have all perks equipped at one time. You're gonna have to choose a few of them, the ones that you can fit into the circuit grid. But you can make, or you can have a lot of fun going through with level select later on and feeling even more overpowered. And if you have struggled through this game and suffered to get through it, it is so satisfying to come back with that extra edge. And also a thing to know, when you have beaten the game, you will most likely have mastered the mechanics of this game, so you will be even better equipped. And as you can see right there, I talked about that at a previous time, that riflemen aren't too quick to turn around. And you saw proof of that right there. If you do a circular motion, they will have a really hard time hitting you. Which is good, because they really flush those clips. They love firing bullets like it's going out of fashion. And as we can notice, if you can hear Zoe talking, things are starting to get shitty. The good thing is there is no time limit. I think a time limit on this would just be, that would be cruel in a game like this. And something that I have forgotten to mention, but you will see proof of it here. You saw that those two enemies were protected by force fields. Your special abilities, like the blink ability, and two that we will learn later on. One is called Tempest and one is called Surge. Not 100% sure about Tempest, but I know that Surge will do the same thing. But the special abilities will bypass their force fields. So even if an enemy is protected by a force field, you can use, if your special ability is activated, you can use it to kill enemies even without having taken down the ball that protects them. So that is a great thing to know. And you saw there I took out a slugger and a gunner with the blinking ability. I think there are total four special abilities you unlock. 3 of them I think are great. The 4th one is super good at least one point in the game. But out of all of them, I think one that we unlock later called Surge is my absolute favorite. But I'm not gonna talk about that yet because, sorry about that, I have a tendency to sometimes get a little bit ahead of myself. And it also distracts me from talking about this puzzle. Because this is one thing about the Cyber Void sessions. You get to these puzzle sections. And I can enjoy a good puzzle in a game. I have done walkthroughs for all the Uncharted games, so you know that I enjoy a good puzzle. When it's in its correct time and place, and also if you follow the steps that I show you for this puzzle, you will get there in the end. I fucked up a little bit, but I managed to recover, so just follow all the steps I'm doing. Some of them becomes a bit over ambitious because I pressed the wrong thing, but it gets there in the end. And I was thinking about trying to edit this so you could just see a bare minimum of movements, but I figured it would become very glitchy if I did so I decided to leave it in. It is a little bit longer than it would have to be, but either way, the point I was getting to is with these puzzles. I think puzzles are great when they are in the correct time and place, and I think that this game is not the correct setting for a puzzle like this atrocity. Because everything in this game is about speed. The combat is quick. The movement is quick. The parkouring, the jumping, the sliding, everything is about speed. And when you get to something like that puzzle, that is one of prime examples. This game slows down to a fucking crawl. And okay, I can see why they did that, to make you like change pace a little bit, get time to breathe, especially in a level called Breathe In. But I'm not super happy with that design choice. Some of those puzzles I think are good when they're more like movement based. There is one puzzle later on that is even worse than that one. I don't like to throw shit at games that I'm doing walkthroughs for, and as I said, I think this is a great game overall, even though they could have skipped those because it kills the pace. And I talked to a friend of mine that also played this game after I had bombarded him with text messages during the time I played it, and after having beaten it, I was like, dude, you gotta try this game. And my sales pitch worked, and he played it, and he enjoyed it as well, even though I'm not 100% sure if he thought it was as challenging as I did. I think I think he fared better than I did through the game. I have to ask him about that actually. But we agreed on the fact that the puzzles could have been maybe not skipped, because it's fun that they have something to like break up the gameplay or like change a bit of a change up in the gameplay, but there are good change ups and there are less good. But I feel it's almost time to break out the cheese, because I'm starting to whine, and that is not something I should do. I think this is a great game, which I have said a multitude of times now. I know this. But heyo, I had forgotten about him. But there you heard, he said shit and started reloading. So he is one of the riflemen that got the memo. He knew that he needs to announce to me that I have messed up, I am out of bullets, I am a sitting duck basically. So feel free to come and slice me in half, like we're at a sushi restaurant. By the way, no, wait, that's the wrong comparison. Because if he's sitting, they don't serve duck at sushi restaurants, I don't think. Their main focus is fish. And that is something I have tried it. Not a fan. But either way, this can be a little bit finicky. You want to run over, as you saw, as these are going in and not completely in. Those last two closest to me when I grabbed the hourglass weren't completely in, because that will time the second part, so you see all of them going in the very second you get there. Because if you mistime the second part, they move quite fast even when in slow-mo, so you will fall down to your death and have to reset. But that is the end of Breed In, and I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.